Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So a lot of people have talked about the scientific method. And yeah, I am a scientist. I'm a doctor. I've spent a lot of time in the lab, a lot of time doing research. And as a physician, how I interpret the scientific method is to discover cause and effect relationships by asking questions, gathering and examining the evidence, and seeing if all the available information can bring you to a logical conclusion. So let's do that. Let's actually go through the scientific method here and gather information. The temperature is rising. You know, Dr. Mann, what was the hottest year on record? 2016. Second, 2015. Third, 2014. Fourth, 2010. So we see this trend. Even Dr. Christie's graphs show, you know, while there's variation, show a trend line of warming temperature. Dr. Mann, is the polar ice melting?
Yes.
Does ice melt when it gets colder or hotter? Great. I'm a simple.
Pretty sure about that one. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and is ocean temperature rising?
Equally sure about that one.
Okay. So we've gathered the facts. Now let's start to think about, okay, what's causing this? So we can agree that we ought to move the conversation towards what's causing it. And even Dr. Pelk, you said we can talk about how we mitigate those causes. Yes, no one's going to disagree there's variation in weather patterns. In my home state of California, we've gone through dramatic droughts in the past few years. Not this year, though. We're having one of the, if not the wettest year on record, one of the wettest years on record. So there is variation. But that doesn't mean we ought not to be thinking about what's causing this and move the conversation. And we ought not to, whether you deny that climate's changing or deny that the Earth is getting hotter, or you agree with that, as the vast majority of scientists do, we ought not to be persecuting our scientists. We ought to be having an open dialogue, and there's no problem with varying opinions, but we ought to have an honest conversation about it. Do any of you think do any of you disagree with the fact that the Earth rotates around the sun? Pretty given science. But in 1633, Galileo was persecuted for putting forth that theory. Again, let's not go back to that time. Let's actually move this conversation forward. This is the Science and Technology Committee. Let's have an honest conversation about what's happening. We all agree the Earth is warming. We all agree that we're seeing more extremes of climate. Let's start mitigating that. Again, you could argue whether humans are causing this or if it's natural. I seem to think, there's a human cause of this. So, Dr. Mann, where would you proceed if you were to, again, advise this committee?
Well, let me first say, the scientific method, we've heard this term quite a bit. The chairman keeps using this term. I do not think it means what he thinks it means. According to an article that came out a few days ago in the journal Science, Chairman Smith was on record at the Heartland Institute. This is a climate change denying Koch brothers funded outlet that has a climate change denier conference every year. And Chairman Smith spoke at that conference.
Dr. Mann, don't mischaracterize that
Well, let me finish my...
No, they do not say that they are deniers, and you should not say that they are either.
Well, we can have that discussion. I'd be happy to. Let me finish my
statement. Be accurate in your description.
I stand by my statement, but can I finish my point?
I'd like to reclaim my time.
Yes. So he indicated at this conference that he, according to Science, and I'm quoting from them, he sees his role on this committee as a tool to advance his political agenda rather than a forum to examine important issues facing the U.S. research community. As a scientist, I find that deeply disturbing.
Dr. Mann, who said that?
This is according to Science Magazine, one of the most respected outlets when it comes to science.
And who are they quoting?
This is the author, Jeffrey Mervis, who wrote that article. I'd be happy to send to committee the article.
That is not known as an objective writer or magazine.
Well, it's Science Magazine.
Yeah, I'd like to reclaim my
and time. The gentleman from California reclaims his time.
Great. Dr. Mann, if you could submit that paper to me.
Absolutely.
We'd love to submit that for the record.
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure. So just to continue. So science involves an objective search for truth. and that's what scientists do, and we challenge each other. It's not the love fest that some would like to make it sound like. My good friend who's no longer with us, Steve Schneider, used to characterize climate or science in general as a contact sport, because scientists are constantly contesting in the peer-reviewed literature at meetings. The way you get ahead in science isn't by saying, yes, I agree with everything, I agree with all the others. The way you get an article in the journals Nature and Science is by showing something different, something new. And so that's the self-correcting machinery that keeps science, using the language of Carl Sagan, that keeps science on a path towards truth. What we stand to be in danger of here is to have that machinery basically destroyed by the politicization of science.
I couldn't agree with you more. So let's not persecute our scientists. We can disagree, we can have robust debate, but let's actually have an honest, robust debate. Thank you.